preserved my youth. Not only did it capture my goals, it told me the truth.
Conversate for a few, cause it a few.
I let them know we missing you. The love is unconditional.
Wave your hands, what's the land if we family?
We got a world premiere right here, now get lost.
So off we go, let the trumpets blow. And hold on, because the driver of the mission is a pro.
All right, you're now tuned to another episode of conVersate with us. Remember, conVersate stands for communicate, converse, and relate. Make sure you go to our YouTube, click that bell icon so you can be notified of upcoming episodes. Go to our Facebook and Instagram so you can see clips of the show. So, comedy has been in the news with Kevin Hart and his roast and controversy behind some of the comedians that came on there. And a lot of people had their opinions, so I thought, who better than to have but a bunch of comedians or a couple comedians come on to talk about what they thought about the roast and comedy in general. So, Kim, Tony, come on in.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
All right. We got comedian Kim D out of St. Louis. What up, though?
What up?
I said what up, though, like you from Detroit. My bad.
Right.
And then we got Tony King, my frat brother from Houston by way of Baton Rouge. What's up with you, bro?
What's going on with you, man? Glad to be here, man. Glad to be joining y'all.
All right. That's cool, man. So listen, Kevin Hart, man, he had his comedy roast. And, there were a few comedians on there. There were a couple of highlights. My personal highlight, I didn't watch it because I'm not really a big fan of Kevin Hart, just to be honest. But I'm a big fan of Katt Williams. And I saw they brought Katt on, and I really appreciate it because, number one, I'm really a big fan of Katt's comedy. But then I also appreciated two black men being able to bury the hatchet and show peace, because I think that's a good example to set for young black men, right? But there was a lot of controversy behind this roast. In particular, the MAGA comedian Kevin Hart brought on Tony Hinchcliffe, who made this joke about George Floyd. And I won't even repeat the joke, it's so vile or whatever. But a lot of people felt like Kevin Hart should have did more in response to this joke. So I'm going to ask y'all, I know y'all both comedians, right? Y'all both in the industry, so you may or may not want to touch this rail, but I'm going to ask you to keep it real. What did you think about the joke? What do you think about Kevin Hart's response to the joke?
I guess I'll jump out there first. I know normally it's ladies first, but I waited for the pause. Here's my thing. I believe that comedy is a contact sport. It's a roast. And I believe that when you sign up for a roast, you know what you're getting. And with that being said, even though it's intentionally supposed to be a little bit fiercer, more fierce, or a little bit harsher than what your normal stand-up show may be, some things I have to ask myself, what's the purpose of it? And the same way that you talked about, you are not necessarily the biggest fan of Kevin Hart. And first, let me say, comedy is subjective. What one person may like, another person may not like. Comedy is subjective. But the thing that I have to ask myself is, what is the purpose of what it is that you were trying to do? And for me, full disclosure, I'm not a fan of Tony Hinchcliffe. I'm not a fan of Kill Tony and the whole platform that he has and all of the comedians that he brings on his particular platform. That ain't my thing. And the reason being is because I'm the kind of comedian, man, I've had opportunities to perform in some of the nicest venues, biggest venues, some of the grandest stages. And I believe that words matter. And so, yeah, where we want to be fierce and we want to be tough, and like I said, it's a contact sport. My thing is, are you achieving what the number one goal is? And that's to entertain. And I personally don't believe in entertaining at the expense of cringe comedy, making people cringe or that's not my thing. And the reason being is because I've had experience where I've been at shows and I've had people come up after shows. I remember one time in particular, this is a number of years ago, and you don't know who you're touching and what your comedy is doing to people. I remember one time there was a lady who came to one of my shows and she said, she's in tears, but I'm thinking like, what's wrong? She had a good time. She said, you just don't know what this meant to me. My house burned down 2 days ago, but we bought these tickets and my husband told us that we still, come, why not, come laugh, whatever. And the thing is, you came and you just made us feel better. That's what I believe comedy is supposed to do. And so I don't think that he achieved that by trying to create some cringe moment. That's his thing. Full stop. Tony Hinchcliffe is a racist. I'm just gonna jump out there and say it like that. I don't care if I burn that bridge. He is. Everybody who agrees with that is. At what expense? At that point, he's just intentionally being vile in order to hurt people, and I'm not in favor of that, man. I mean, that's no. I'm done with that. And
Kim,
so my thing real quick for the Kevin Hart response is, what do you expect somebody to do when you're in public and you thinking about all the types of things that go through your head? Is this going to affect the money? And so I think his response, though it might not have been my response, I can understand his response because at the end of the day, he is a commercial comic that really looks at the bottom line. So, I think what he did was made a business decision by keeping his mouth shut. But I think also too, him running out here on damage control is also a business decision. So
yeah. Kim, what you think?
Okay, I watched it in real time. So I caught about halfway through. Um, it was a lot. I like roast. I'm from, like I said, St. Louis. We do what we call it joning. We joan and we go hard. So if you go low, we go lower. That's how we do it. For those roasts, I've seen worse. I did not know who Tony Hinchcliffe was. Had to Google him while I was watching it because of all the comments. People were saying even on the dads how they were all referring to him as this racist. So I had to look him up because I honestly didn't even know who he was. The George Floyd joke was the only joke that I really had a problem with because I didn't find it funny. And things can be dark, but they can also still be funny and dark, which I love dark humor. My biggest um, issue with it was, yeah, it was those comics signed up for Netflix for that roast. They knew what was going to be said. The writers went over this with them. Kevin Hart agreed to it. Everybody agreed to it. So if they did it for money, which a lot of them did state, I'm only up here because they paying me a good check, then to me, that's rich people problems. They all signed, if they sold us, they're sold for to Netflix for to be like Dr. Umar talking about this humiliation ritual that they subjected themselves to, then that's on them as a comic and as a black woman and as I don't know, just me even from the sidelines just watching it, I've seen worse. Not saying that it's okay. Um, Kevin Hart, like they say, he's up there with that type of money where he can comedy has always blurred the lines between what's really right and what's really wrong and what people can say, and then you get away with saying it because you're a comedian. But that doesn't mean it's always right. So even with the Cheryl Underwood stuff, they went in on her, but she got up and she set the tone. She let them know I'm not gonna let y'all get away with it, and she knew that those jokes were coming. So I just feel like it's
Yeah.
you know
I've heard
well,
several
it's
people
it's
say, I've heard several people say, I'm sorry to cut you off. I heard
no.
several people say, like, what you said in terms like it's a roast. So I made the example the other day. If I get into the ring with a boxer, that boxer is a trained professional. More
Hmm.
than likely, that boxer is going to slow all the way down. They're going to take a lot of steam off their punches because they know that they could eviscerate me, right?
Right.
Some comedians, they come on stage and, it's like the old Joe Torre skill. Joe Torre would, go at people in the crowd. Martin would do his song on Def Jam and it was funny or whatever. So I could see how when comedians are going after other comedians, how they feel like, you know what, I don't have to keep the gloves on. I can go as low as I want to with them because they can hit me back. And I know they can, right?
Yeah.
And it's probably a sense of competition too. And it's just the
Hmm.
nature of the roast. However, I do feel, and this leads to the next question that I have for you both. Comedy is comedy, free speech is free speech, right?
Yeah.
But that don't absolve you from the consequences from the shit you say.
Exactly.
I've been
That's what you
in.
signed up for, but
Hey,
it doesn't.
listen.
Yeah.
I've been a big dude my whole life, and I remember in St. Louis. I was in St. Louis, Missouri, at the pageant up in North County, right?
That's not in
And
North County. That's right here. That's in the
what's the
loop.
one up? What's the one? What's the theater up in North County?
A, a theater or an event
A theater.
center.
It's a theater. I'm gonna look it up. The pageant.
Northwest Plaza.
No, that's the mall. No, it's a anyway. I was at a comedy show, right? And they was taking forever. So me and the chick I was with, she was like, I'm hungry. I said, I am too, but I ain't finna be eating because I'm with these comedians talking about my big ass, right? And
The
she was
Laugh
like,
Lounge.
huh? No, no,
The
I'll
Laugh
figure it
Lounge.
out. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. But they have concerts there too. But anyway, so I go get her food. She eats, and it was on some broke promoter shit, right? So they was taking forever. So then finally I was like, man, let me get my food. So I go up and get my food, and I'm coming back, comedians on the stage. So I'm walking down on some Professor Clump shit, right? I got my food. Dude was like, damn, big dude, you didn't even get your girl nothing to eat. And he was clowning, right? He was clowning. She tried to like, I already ate. He was like, no, he ate your food too. So like it was funny, man. It was like, I was a good sport about it, but I
I
kind of
think I was at that show. That was at the ambassador or the
the
spotlight. I
ambassador. It was
know.
at the
I
ambassador.
knew it. I
And you
knew it.
remember that? Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying now because that's typical what they do. They gon' if you
Right.
a big dude, whoever you are, they gonna mess with you.
So my thing is this. I go into shows knowing that I could potentially be a target. But
Hmm.
the good thing about that comedian was he knew to only take it so far and say, hey man, I
Hmm.
appreciate you coming out. Because what if I
Hmm.
was somebody to be like, you know what, okay, I'll wait to see you after the show. Instead of me coming shedding tears saying, hey man, you helped me out of a dark spot. I want to talk to you about some shit.
So I want to be clear about this. I didn't always have that approach. That's
Hmm.
something that I picked up as I just kind of matured in the business through experience. My very first time on stage, I was at a place called Comedy in the Hood. This was I remember like it was yesterday. Al Freeman was hosting, and I get on stage, my very first time on stage, and you know how it is. You're kind of joking, you're laughing with, playing with people. You really don't have material, you don't really know. And I remember there was and the first little jabs that I had, were pretty funny. And I remember there was a young lady sitting in the front, and she was a bigger lady. And I said, okay, I see you, laughing, Kelly Price. And I leaned down to shake her hand, just to like kind of like say it's cool. She grabbed my hand so hard and she said, nigga, I'll kill you. And I
Hey, hey,
promise
hey,
you.
hey, hey. And normally we don't do the N word on,
I
on,
well,
on my show,
it's a quote.
but
It's a
but
quote.
because of
It's a
that, we'll
quote.
let it go.
It's a
Yeah,
quote.
yeah,
It's a quote.
yeah.
And so from that moment, I was like, oh snap. Like I'm
Can't mess,
not,
can't mess with
you
everybody.
can't mess with everybody.
That's
So
right.
my
Can't
thing,
everybody don't play like that.
my approach has always been, if you don't mess with me, I won't mess with you. I got
Won't mess with
material
you.
I need. I got material I need to say. You know what I'm saying?
I was
Like now, if you want it, I can bring it, and I promise you, in the words of Denzel on Training Day, I'm lethal with this, Jake. I promise you.
yes.
But my first reaction is not to do that because, again, you don't know what people going through, and I promise you,
Yes.
the way things are now, I've seen situations where people have gotten run up on, and not like an everyday situation, not like it always happens, but if you are in this long enough, you've seen stuff online where somebody has
You
maybe
gonna see,
approached
yeah.
the
You gonna
stage,
see
or
it.
somebody who and I'm not gonna put myself in danger like that. I'm here just to entertain and tell some jokes,
Yeah.
and I don't want to
And if
hurt
you
nobody.
notice, Tony, and if you notice people who do that, the most common who do that, they don't have a lot
They
of
don't
material.
have
They're
material.
coming, they're
Yep.
reading they're first of all, they're trying to read the room, but they're not reading the room correctly because you
Mm-hmm.
cannot mess with everybody like that,
Yeah.
especially these days. Because
Yeah.
in St. Louis, people will go to their car and get their little pom pom and they'll take things personal.
Yeah.
And I think it's a difference between being funny and messing with people and being malicious and messing with people. It's
Mm-hmm.
a big difference. You
Yeah.
can see in a funny kind of way like you would a coworker or a family member, but being malicious with it, when you cross that line, then I see why people do what they do. And comics, we can have free speech all day long, but you just can't mess with everybody.
Well, and I think
And
you
especially because you listen, man, listen, gas is high as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Groceries is high. People are tense.
Baby,
These
very.
people are out of work,
yeah.
and
Yes.
they didn't spend their little coins on to come see
Yeah.
you, and
I don't want you
you gonna
counting
pick
on
up their
me when I
insecurities.
Yeah.
Hey,
exactly.
back when that PPP money was coming out, you might be able to get a few jokes off. But now motherfuckers is mad. You can do it if you want to.
And
I
that's what I'm talking about when you got to read the room too. You
yeah.
can't, play with every type of crowd, especially these older, like a lot of the older people, don't play with them like that with that old Joan and stuff. They don't even carry no
Well,
pom-poms. They ready to
they old school. They want to come see you. They
they
ain't
want to
afraid
come
to
see
come
you,
and
but
see
they
you.
do not
Yeah.
play. Do not
Yes.
mess with them
No,
either.
I'm saying
I
they want to come
see.
see you after the show and say, "Hey,
Oh yeah.
what's up with what you talking about?" No,
And they're gonna
now
pull
run it
out that little
again.
flip. Right.
That
That
butterfly
I've
now
knife.
seen it.
now you know
Yes, I've
there's some
seen it.
comedians that do it good. Um,
They
I think Mojo does it good.
most
He involves the crowd. He talks his little noise, whatever. But like you said, there's a difference between malicious and
yes.
just gentle teasing, right? That people can
Yes.
off, right? But you can get them involved because it goes from I'm being the butt, like you are harming me with your joke, versus like me
Hmm.
being a part of the show. And I
Yeah.
think that goes back to this whole Tony Hinchcliffe thing. Like, and I'm really disappointed in Kevin Hart, number one, because like I saw some comedians like Ryan Davis come to his defense. They was like, Kevin Hart, he didn't put a lot of money in black comedians' pockets and blah, 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 blah. So when I hear this, I'm like,
Yes.
when I hear that, I'll be like, well, you bought and paid for it too. But at some point,
Right.
it's got to be about your manhood. Because if you put the money in black people's pockets, why are you going to put somebody on your program that you know is vile and disrespectful towards black people? This dude been doing these things. And,
I didn't
and,
understand it. After I heard, I didn't understand why he even
so
had Tony Hinchcliffe.
well, his reasoning was he was on the Tom Brady roast and he did a great job. So
No.
what's that matter? And here's the thing: what a lot of people don't know. See, I grew up in Kansas, and my first 10 years of life, I grew up in the hood. Then I moved into the I hate black people part of the other state.
Oh, Lee
Hmm.
Summit.
And one thing that white folks like to do, they like to get their shit off to try to get
Yep.
under your nerves. They are the king of
Hmm.
trolling. And then once they troll you, they're like, "Oh, why are you getting so upset?
Yeah.
It's
Uh-huh.
just comedy. It's just comedy. It's the nature of a roast. This is what they do." And to have Kevin going up there and explaining for him, he said, "Yeah, well, the joke wasn't good. What you want me to do?" The same thing they would have done to you if you would have touched the third rail for them. That's what we expected.
Hmm.
I
So
mean, the thing that I can understand, but I can't understand. Like, I wouldn't have even had him there. That's me.
that's
But
it.
that's
That's what
just
I'm saying. I didn't
I
get that.
just I remember it's funny. It's funny. So the first thing that people want to do, and I'm sure y'all deal with this. The first thing people want to do when they find out that, oh, you're a comedian, they either want to say, tell you a joke, or they ask you, have you heard of somebody? And
Yep.
I can tell a lot about what your style is by based on who you ask me,
Who
who
you?
I've heard of.
Hmm.
And I remember I was coaching my son's little league soccer team, and one of the parents asked me, "Oh man, yeah, man, you're a comedian. Oh, that's cool. Have you ever heard of Kill Tony?" And the minute he asked me that, I knew instantly what kind of person he was. Because if
Yep.
that's your brand of humor, and this was fresh off of him, and I don't want to get into politics. I don't want to offend anybody again. But this was fresh after him making waves for some of his jokes that he made while on the campaign trail with
Yeah,
Trump.
I mean, fuck it. I say, listen,
Okay.
this the same dude that he was performing at one of Trump's rallies when Trump was running
Yes.
for president, and he
Yep.
called Puerto Rico a floating island
Yep.
of garbage.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you know what he is.
Oh, he's
You
the one that said that. I
yeah.
thought
Yeah.
Trump said that. See,
No. So
Nah.
so this was right after that. And so the minute that he asked me that, I'm like, oh, I see what time it is with you.
And
you
you know
knew
what
I'm
what
he
it
was
was.
doing. And you
yeah.
know what he was doing, right?
Oh yeah.
That was his way of testing your man.
Yep. He
That was
was
his way
testing
of
me to
Yep.
see
testing
if
your
I yep.
manhood,
Yep.
right? That's
Yep.
what they do. That's what
Yeah.
they do.
And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say what's funny is again, comedy is a contact sport. Hey man, you know what you're getting. I believe that everything is all fair and game. And yeah, my big thing is it funny? That's the whole reason that we
Is it
here.
funny?
Is it
Is
funny? I'm the kind of person, again, even though I grew up in Houston, born and raised, my family from Mississippi. And my son just did his project on his family tree. It's sitting right here. We deep in Mississippi on both sides. I'm talking about to the 1700s. And so the thing is that I was raised, and I'm the product of parents from the civil rights generation, colored schools, all that. It's certain things I don't like to do in front of other people. You ain't gonna sit here and embarrass no black woman in front of me. That's me. You ain't gonna sit there and try and talk about anything about her hair, her skin color, any of that. You ain't doing that. I'm not. I don't allow that. That is not my thing. It's just things that I don't allow. I don't like to, like you said, I only said that as a quote, but I don't like to play no music with the N-word in it around them. Because I don't even want you thinking it in your head, because you're gonna recite it.
Yeah.
You're gonna recite it.
Yeah.
Whether it's in your head or not, you said it. I don't even want that. And so my thing is, I just wouldn't have even had Tony there, because that don't even align with the type of comedy that I want. And here, this is my message for Ryan Davis. And he's a good guy. I like his comedy. I like his style. I like his hustle. Nothing against him. But if Kevin Hart has put all this money in black comedians, why didn't he have more on that stage?
Thank you. And
Why
you
didn't
see
he
the
put
ones
them
that
on?
were back there, they didn't say, Tiffany Haddish was there, a few others were there. They did not say anything.
I saw a bunch of them sitting in the front and second row.
And that was all, it
His
was all
crew.
in the audience.
His
Yeah.
crew.
Well, and to me, that shows who's really calling the shots, right?
Yeah.
And it's not Kevin Hart. This was on Netflix. Netflix is calling the shots. Now,
Every person got up there and said, I'm only up here because Netflix paying me big time, or I'm up here for the check. They literally said that. Even Katt Williams, and that's another person I did not even know. Like, why was he there? For y'all that like Katt Williams, I don't dislike Katt Williams, but stand on business. If you don't like somebody, you done said they house N-word and they did this and did that, and you come on the show and got paid to do it, and this fake look, where they squash it, I don't believe none of it.
Well, he said,
and that's what I
everybody
asked
did it for a
too.
check.
That's what I asked too. So when that came
Everybody
out,
did it for a check.
when
was fake.
that came out, and I said, okay, was that genuine? I can see Kevin won. I can see Kevin wanting to squash it, because Kevin is Kevin's what I would say is corporate.
Yeah.
Katt is the streets, right? And it's a different crowd. So I can see why Kevin would want to squash it, because if he squashes it, then those words, those jokes, those rumblings about him being a plant, about him being somebody who sucks and jives, if I get the main person who can call me out, and remember what you said it, comedy is a contact sport. I can't really go blow for blow with Kevin Hart. He eat me alive, right? But if you got Katt Williams, he can call it out because they're equals. So
but then
I can see why Kevin would want to do it. Katt, I don't know if Katt is really sincere about it, though. I don't know.
He was not.
No, if you recall, at the end of the roast, when Kevin gets on stage, he said he was lying. He said it's beef for life.
I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it.
At the very end. That's why I said it was at the very end.
It was all Cap. Now here's the thing, and I have another beef about the roast too. So again, I'm from Houston, H-Town. There's a comic from Houston, Blame the Comic. That gunshot before you getting ready to roast somebody, Blame has been doing that for about 15 years. That's his thing. And so when Kevin starts doing that on stage, and there are receipts on that. So I take that a little personal, because you took something that was unique to this young comic that he's been doing for a while, grinding with it, and his audience knows him for it. Houston, and everybody in the Southwest region where he performs at the most, not saying all over the country because he has traveled all over the country and does big shows, but they know that that's his thing. And so if y'all want to see that, that's on his page, Blame the Comic. He has receipts on it. I've seen it. He's done that for years. And so to see Kevin do that, to me, he got it from somewhere that's kind of joke jacking-y. I'm gonna stay out of that because I know.
Let me ask y'all this.
But,
Let me ask y'all this. Let me ask y'all this. Because I saw Bill Bellamy.
Mm-hmm.
It was Bill Bellamy and Ari Spears. And they were talking about,
I know what you're about to say.
You know how Martin did Shanae, right? Martin did Shanae.
Right.
And there was a comic, I can't remember his name.
His name is Derek.
Derek something.
Derek something, yeah.
Yeah. So he had a character that was like his closing thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He would close, and it was like a shenanigans where and I'm not really a big fan of black men wearing wigs and making fun of black women. I don't like that comedy at all. I don't like it at all. But that was his thing, right? And back then, I'm gonna say we didn't really know better because you had, Flip Wilson, Geraldine.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say they've been doing it before.
They've been putting us in dresses for a while, right? That's what they do. That's that humiliation ritual that we talked about, right? So they talked about how basically they took his main thing.
Shantae, that was the character's name. Shantae
took his main thing and basically just like killed his career, right? So my question to you all: have you ever had somebody steal your jokes? And
yes.
If so, did you confront them about it? Kim?
Yes.
Kim?
I'll say, I'm gonna say yes and no. I'm gonna say yes, because St. Louis is so small. I started back in 2009. So I've had to take hiatuses throughout the years. And when you do that, that people might have done something. They'll do something on stage that you've done already, and other people will say, "So and so stole your joke," or "So and so stole your how you did something," or whatever. And it happens. What I have also noticed, Tony might know this. When you're a smaller comic, say you're traveling just in your tri-state area or just in a certain area, when the bigger comics, very well-known household names come and visit these other cities, they are known for stealing lesser-known comics jokes and things like the gunshot or whatever, that sound effect. They are known for doing that. They have been called out on it. Other comics have said, well, such and such did this, and a bigger name was in the house and they saw it. So it has happened. And it continues to happen. And that's just people who can't write their own jokes, that don't have enough, creativity to just come up with their own thing.
See, I would think, man, I would think, hold on, Fred. I mean, I'll bring you in.
No, you good.
I would think that if you see somebody who is young and talented, hey, listen, can we corroborate? Can we work together on this? You know what I'm saying? Can we do this?
You think a Katt Williams or a Kevin Hart gonna say that to some of the lesser known comics in just a little city, like they just coming through for a few hours, or they're not always, especially if they have their own team, and if they think it's really brilliant and it's something they can do and blow up with it. No, everybody don't think like that. I don't care how many people say they down for bringing up their people. No, if I can make this blow up because I got a machine behind me, that's how that's what they're gonna do.
And then there are a couple of things. So, and Kim, I know you've experienced this where, you're performing on the show. A lot of times you hear something, not you personally, but a larger comic will hear something and don't even know that he's stealing it. He thinks that he came up with it because he doesn't even remember that it was you that said it.
Yeah.
And so, but I'll say this: have I ever been joke jacked? Yep. I've been joke jacked in my face, and it's not always bigger comics. I've had a joke that I told. So I'm not gonna say the comic's name. He's a comedian, large, giant comedian. And I remember
does he wear hats? Does he wear fedoras?
No.
Does he wear suits with a bunch of buttons?
No.
Petty.
I do know somebody who knows that comic that you're talking about. No, this one, I'll just say he has a favorite day of the week.
Mm.
And so he was filming a movie down here, and this is when
Okay.
this is when I was on I was a morning show host
Alpha
here in
Man.
town
Yeah.
for Max 94.1, and they came through. And so me, excited young comic, I'm like, hey, man, I'm about to throw some of my stuff out there. I'm doing it. And these are jokes that I've used on stage. They are part of my routine.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it was just like the episode of Martin with Varnell Hill. Remember, he was like, "What's up?" And he started writing it down. The only
Yes.
difference was he didn't write it down. He
In
said,
your
"Oh
face.
man," he kept saying it. That's funny. About a year later, it was in one of his specials.
That is hilarious.
And I was like, wow. Now, I didn't get upset because I believe that I'm creative enough, man. One joke ain't gonna make me. But
Yep.
I do also believe that there is something that does happen that a lot of comics face where if you're talking about something topical or something that is universal, we are all pulling from the same divine creative
I was gonna
source.
say that.
And
Yep.
so sometimes there are times I remember, so man, this was many, many years ago, and I still occasionally use it. I have stopped using it as of, pretty lately, but a long, long time ago. I don't even want to date myself. But I used to have a joke about the ending theme song of the Jeffersons.
Mm-hmm.
And I would play different scenarios, and it was a joke that could be, used anywhere. I've used it everywhere from country and western bars to gospel shows to hood show. It is a universal thing that I used to use. Well, about 2 years ago, I was performing at a church, and I wound up telling the joke, and somebody said, "Hey, have you seen this chick? She wasn't a comic, not to my knowledge, but she said, yeah, she has this skit where she's seen, she does something to it." And I was like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
snap, let me check it out." And though it wasn't my joke, she's using kind of a similar premise. And so
Yeah.
even though I'd been using it for a decade prior, I didn't want to continue to use the joke and have people accuse me of it because people don't want explanations. The first thing they just gonna
Uh-huh.
say is, "Oh man, he stole it," not knowing that I had been using it for 10 years. You know what I'm saying? As a,
Mm-hmm.
as a joke and as a closer, as a matter of fact. But yeah, I remember one time I was hosting a show, and I introduced the headlining comic. And you know how you play, music and kind of get the crowd hype, and you just kind of doing that. And I had a
Mm-hmm.
joke that included a certain song. And when he came on stage after I introduced him, he continued on to play on the bit. Fast forward a year later, he comes back in town. I'm hosting the show. He does the joke. And I'm like,
Wow.
yo, that's whack.
That's my
I
joke.
did that.
That's my
My
joke.
joke.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's my joke. Hey, so let
So
me ask y'all this. Let me ask you this. Keep it real. All right. We keep it 100% real. Have you ever bombed?
Oh
And,
yeah.
and when you bombed, how did you get past it? How did you, because I'm sure you bombed, but you had to go back on the stage again, right? You didn't let that stop.
Yeah.
yeah.
What happened
No.
so do you remember the first time that you bombed and did you want to quit and what kept you going?
Can I do ladies first, Tony? I'll
Yeah, no, no,
speak
no.
up.
Go ahead.
It was this room here in St. Louis. Jesse Taylor is a huge comic here in St. Louis. He has a big room, and I'm talking about 1,200 people or so, probably 1,500 or more every Sunday. And I started at in a real like a comedy club where you have to do the
Mhm.
5, 7, 10. Everything is boom. Well, when you do these other places and stuff, it's not the same. It's not in the same order or the same discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would come out with my little boom, 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 bam, and I had my little closing joke that was always boom. And this one time the energy just was off. I wasn't feeling good. I don't know what it was, but I literally was bombing. And the worst noise, the worst sound that any comic can hear is silence. unless you're setting up a joke. And it's not always, you're not gonna always have people falling all out while you're
Right.
setting up a joke. Dave Chappelle will show you that he's setting it up, he's telling the story. People are listening and following. But when you hear that silence and not a chuckle, and you got your little few friends in the front of your mom up there trying to clap and get it, baby, that's the worst feeling in the world. Do you stop? No. But it's hard. It's hard to get your, like, oh, I got to come back and do this again or whatever. But when you have that feeling, you just look back and say, what did I do wrong? And I knew what it was. My timing was everything that I was supposed to do was just completely what I wasn't used to doing. And it was just off that for whatever reason that day. It was bad.
So
So
go
yeah,
ahead. Go ahead, Tony.
I'll say this. The reason I'm laughing is because when you talked about that silence, it's nothing like that silence on something that you thought was
Woo!
gonna kill. Something that may have worked in the past. You say something
Or
and
even
that's
something you used to. You used
so
to it
yes,
being funny.
and I mean, you like, wait a second. I'll say this. You talk about having your family out there. Ain't nothing worse than having your family there. And I remember one time my aunt was in a show, and this is early on in my career. She said, and this was bad. This was it was bad. And I remember she came and she said, "Boy, you sure looked like a comedian up there." And I was like, I say,
Hey,
"Oh, I just
your aunties, they know how to
yeah,
like insult you with a compliment.
yeah,
So,
yeah."
I remember seeing one of my older aunties, and I had this big girl that I was dating at the time, and she was like, "Well, y'all look happy," and I was like, "You just called us fat."
Look, I was
We
like, "Oh,
gotta
I look like one. I just ain't sound funny like one,
sound like
right?"
one.
And so, but no, I think and I don't want to, I don't want to jinx myself, but I think I changed my perspective some years ago where I stopped coming up on stage trying to please them, and I took the power out of the crowd's hands. And now when I get on stage, it's not as if I'm coming up, wanting you to laugh to give me affirmation. I'm coming on stage already knowing who I am. And so now I come straight
Mm,
out and now I'm giving it to you and I'm serving as your entertainment. And so when I
mm.
made that flip and that switch, I saw, my performances, really go to another level. And it really, mentally was better for me. But to answer your question, I don't know about you, Kim, but after I bombed or have bombed in the past, the first thing I want to do is get back on stage, get that stench off me.
Yeah, I gotta. Yeah,
I
I
got to
gotta
get that off
give
me.
my. I
I
have
got
to
to get
give
my
my
gangster
credit.
back. I got to get my
Yeah,
gangster back.
yeah. Because I was like, oh, and even Jesse was like, Kim, what was up? I was like, how, like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, like it was everything was wrong. I remember one
Yeah.
time, y'all, I get really bad migraines. That's another reason why I've had to, you have to take some time. Sometime when you're not
Mhm.
in a mental place, you can't give that energy to people. So one time I was so sick and in so much pain, I got on stage, and Tony, I don't know if this ever happened to you. I forgot my own jokes, and I've written every last one of my jokes, right? I forgot my own jokes that I've been doing for like two
Mhm.
years straight, consistently. We was have to perform 5 times a week at the House
Mhm.
of Comedy. And I'm like, how, and that's how I had told the promoter earlier that day, I'm sick, I cannot. And he, no, come on, like, hyping me up, lying to me like my name really got all these people out. When we got there, it was none of that. I was so pissed, and when I say I literally had to like halt the show, pick up my phone, and look at my first joke to get and
Yeah.
I was so that was even worse to me than bombing. I rather had bomb because I knew all my jokes and they just was
Mhm.
off than to get up there and forget and you can't remember your own jokes. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So have you
You're not
ever?
reading a teleprompter, so
Yeah. So let me ask you: have y'all? There's a saying, "Not all money is good money."
uh,
So have you ever turned down a gig? Could you say, you know what, that's not my crowd. Like that's not
yep.
they're not gonna get my type of humor. I'm not even gonna set myself up that way. Have you ever turned down a
I'll let
gig because of that?
Tony can answer this one first. I got it. I got my answer.
Oh, oh, I ain't gonna lie. I don't
You
think
ready,
I've.
sir?
I don't think I've. I don't think I've. Here's the thing that I do, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I do my same set everywhere. I'm not the kind of chain. I'm not code switching. I ain't doing nothing. I'm coming in and thankfully I have been more successful than not. But I've done some of it. I remember I've done full Hispanic bars where the two comics before me were telling jokes in Spanish. I've done country and western bars. I've done, yeah, of course, everybody's done dives. Yeah. I even did jokes at Texas Day Brazil in the banquet room for a small credit union. Like
Mm.
I ain't tripping. I'm a capitalist. I'm gonna get that money. Nah, I don't care. You want me to tell? I'm gonna tell them. I ain't gonna enjoy it, but I'm gonna tell them.
So look,
Hopefully you ain't shucking and jiving when you
Oh
he said,
no, no, no,
no,
no,
he
no,
not.
no, no.
He's saying he's specific.
yeah.
He's gonna do
No, I'm
his
I'm gonna do I'm gonna
material
do my
regardless.
same show regardless. It's going,
because
yeah.
if I ever see you shucking and jiving, I'm gonna be throwing tomatoes at your ass. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
Look,
hey,
I give you permission
Yeah.
to come up and
shoot.
Will Smith me on stage. I give you full permission,
Oh, I can't wait to
open
see it.
hand.
Now, Tony, you know it's a difference between turning down money and turning
Mhm.
down things that you know, like when you have St. Louis is small, so
Yeah,
we it's only so much we can do, and
mhm.
you become too like where you're
Yeah,
just
yeah,
overly
yeah.
saturating
Oversaturate. Yeah.
the
Mhm.
scene. So I had started literally being in a position, not even like financially, like I'm there, but being in a position where I knew I could pick and choose what type of shows I
Mhm.
wanted to do,
Yeah.
because some people think quantity is
Uh-huh.
better than quality. And I rather work with promoters who I know are putting on shows. I see the ticket sales, I see the
Mhm.
venues, I see what's going on, rather than you working
Yeah.
with people. Anybody here now can say they're a promoter. They'll throw a show on and you ain't seen a post on Facebook,
Yeah.
Twitter, nothing. And that's what
Oh.
my thing was
Oh.
about
Oh. Then in that
refusing
case,
to do
yeah.
things
No.
like
No. No.
that.
No. 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 In
But
that
not,
case, no.
yeah.
No. I don't do everything. I'm not just doing any
Yeah, you're
promoter.
not
I'm
doing
not just doing
everything
any.
and working with,
No. No.
yeah.
No. 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 No.
Hey,
No. No.
so have you ever got ripped off by a janky promoter?
Yeah,
Yes.
How
I
they
have.
how they
Yes.
do it? How they do it? You come on stage, they be like, "Hey man, I got you next week."
No.
I,
or,
the same
or they
place
be
you were
or they be
talking
like
about.
or they like, "Hey man, my cousin right there, he gonna give you a dime sack of
No,
weed or
Nah.
some shit like that or
the
whatever."
same place you were talking about in the ambassador in like 2011. It
Yeah,
was a show with Lou Nail and Lenny Williams, and I was
you
I don't
talking
know
about
who hosted.
you talking about watch television till the television went off, Lenny Williams?
Yes, he was a performing. He was a sing. The promoter was this guy who, he came. He was from here, but he was out in California. He came back. He put on this show, and I said I did not get paid, or I did not. I think I got paid like probably gas money or something, because he had to pay Lunel and Lenny Williams. So I got screwed over by that was like a big show, but we knew something was
What he tried
going
to
on
say?
because the
What he
ticket.
tried to say? Like, but you got exposure though. You got exposure. Exposure don't pay the
Yeah,
rent.
you
Man.
worked. Yeah, you
Exposure.
worked. You worked with Lunel. You worked with Lenny Williams at that time where I was from. I had worked with a lot of people because in the House of Comedy used to be Laughs on the Landing. So every comic that has ever come to St. Louis was coming through there, and I got to feature for them or work on the same stage as them. So I was like, dude, and he literally, I did not. Yeah, I was supposed to get a check later or a payment, and he just like literally ghosted me. Of course, they don't answer the phone. And I just took it up, as a learning experience, like never again.
So I've had a couple. I've had one as recent as either 21, 22. And
Mm,
me, one thing that I can stand to be see, I'm too nice for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm way too nice.
I'm the same
And
way.
he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna get you straight. I'm gonna get straight on that deposit. I'm gonna get straight on that deposit, man. This, and that." And so, I let it go. And then the night of the show, I'm like you. I'm starting to notice as we moving up. I'm like, hey man, what's up with this promo schedule, bro? This ain't, you
Uh-huh.
know. So I'm like, okay. And then the night of the show, I'm pulling into a half empty parking lot. I'm like, here you go. I know
That's
what's
when
about to
you
happen.
know.
I know
That's
what's
when
about
you
to
know
happen. And
when
so,
it's empty.
but that was the last time. But I would say I probably have, and this is going to ruffle some feathers. I probably have not been messed over as much or stalled out as much as church shows. So I
What?
remember,
I can
I
see it. I can
remember,
see it. I can see it. I can see
hold
it.
on.
No, now
This,
I'm
Come on, brother.
surprised.
Come on, brother.
oh,
You're doing this for the Lord.
hold on. I got to tell y'all this story. So this one pastor, God rest his soul, he is no longer with us. He, I remember he took me on the
Last
road, and
name rhyme with song.
it's funny because he took me and I did 3 dates with Tamala Man and one with Marvin Sapp. And this was a time I was doing really bad financially. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. And so he hit me with and we're doing, convention centers and things like that. So, he like, man, you got to get the ticket sales. And I know how it is when you're doing some of those theaters and big places, you got to wait the 7 days and for it's business day. So I'm like, hey man, I need my money. I need my money. I need my money. He kept stalling me out. I need my money. He kept stalling me out. So I called him and left him a message. Said, hey man, I'm on my way to your Bible study right now. And I'm gonna walk in there and I'm gonna let everybody know you don't pay your bills. He called
Oh,
me instantly and he had a sob story. Now you just don't know how hard it's been. And my wife be holding me at night and I be crying. And I say, listen, man,
Hey,
Bishop. He was a bishop. I say,
Bishop.
listen, Bishop, I gotta get that money, bro. And I need it in cash now.
that's
I
that's
need it
how,
in
that's how
cash.
you know you was dealing with a jack leg preacher because the preachers I
Man,
know, hey, the preachers I know, you'd have called them and threatened them, they'd have cussed you smooth out.
man, I should have known something was up because he hit me with a what's the bank that's in Walmart? You
U.S.
know which one?
Bank? No,
No,
that's
Huh?
in
was it
No, no,
first,
no,
first,
no.
third, or something like
No,
that?
no, it's whatever that was, the one
He
that
said the
gets
bank
second
that's in
chance.
Walmart, the one right by the subway,
Yeah, yeah. He
right between the subway and
he
the
he
customer
he
service desk. There's a bank right
he
there. Yeah.
ah,
he took me out to eat to a fancy restaurant to tell me he was gonna make me a millionaire on the gospel circuit. And he gonna pay with 2 different cards. One was one of those gift cards and Walmart gift cards. The other one was from the bank from the
oh
what? I say, oh,
Lord.
I should have known then. I should have known then. But he paid me my money in cash though. But it took a minute. But he wasn't the only one. This man, I've
And
had
you
pastors.
said it's the churches, and I was being like sarcastic, saying,
No,
"Woo, really? Like,
I've
yeah, the
had
churches."
I've had multiple churches either not pay me or stall me out. Now I've had some that are really good. I've had plenty that are really good, but the
Hmm.
most that I've been messed over from a promoter standpoint, churches,
So what y'all got?
Wow.
churches.
So what y'all got going on now? You got anything big on the horizon coming up?
Me, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't been on stage in about a year. I've hosted events. I still host events and things like that. I just kind of pivoted to something else that I'm doing creatively, which will benefit me when I do get back on stage. And I don't know about Tony, but when I'm writing, I try to listen and watch the least the amount of comedy as I can because I
Yeah,
don't want to have other
yeah,
people's ideas and topics in my head. I'm trying to write from my own life experiences and things I've gone through. So somebody even said recently, it's like, Kim, you ain't watch. I was like, no, I don't unless it's a old comedy shows and stuff, that we've seen. I do not try to watch any of the new comics material because I don't want anybody else's ideas in my head. So I just been literally working on my purses. I make purses, earrings. I repurpose things like that, and that's something that will benefit me from when I go back on stage because merch is a big thing. So I already have my own merch that I make by hand, and I just been enjoying that and doing that, for my mental health.
that.
Because
It's funny that
listen,
you say that. Yeah.
writing is good. And I've noticed, I'm from Kansas, so we were close to Kansas City. And one of the most successful rappers in terms
Yeah,
of
Tech Nine.
his touring
Yeah,
money is Tech Nine.
yeah.
And not only is he touring all the time, but he's got control of his merch, right?
Yes.
He's got that loyal fan base. He may not be triple, quadruple platinum like some of the other
Hmm.
artists are, but you really don't need that. If you got your select tribe who's going to show up at every single show that you make, they're going to buy your new
Hmm.
merch. You're going to filter out the old stuff, put in the new stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that's the way to go. You know,
Yeah.
That's where I feel like
and
the Lord
and
is
writing,
definitely leading.
yeah, writing behind the scene. Listen, I got a screenplay I just wrote. I'm looking for writers.
Well,
Hmm.
So yeah.
it's funny you say that. That's something that I've been doing for a number of years now. And I'm grateful to have sold a couple of screenplays. I'm still writing. I know I'm the same way, Kim. Actually, it's not even just when I'm trying to be creative with a new set. I don't watch comedy, period. To be honest, I stumbled on the Kevin Hart joint. Everybody who knows me, and I started this has been a long time ago. I don't know if y'all remember this, but if you notice, whoever the hot comedian is at the time, every comic sounds like them. And I noticed that sometime around like '09, 2010, and I just hard stopped watching any comedy, even if it comes up on my
Hmm.
timeline. My algorithm doesn't even feed me that anymore because I don't watch it. I don't want no parts of it because I'm like you. I do not want to subconsciously
Have that
pull somebody
even.
else's.
Yeah.
I it's already hard enough, wondering if I hear a joke and I'm like, wait, have I heard that before? Or is this really me?
Hmm.
Or is this
Yeah.
something I heard a long time ago that's just kind of
I thought it
so
was just me.
yeah.
I
And
thought it
see,
was
No, no,
just
and
no.
I'm
me.
like that. I'm like that with podcasting.
Yeah.
I got three
Hmm.
shows. I got a relationship podcast. I got my Black Power Man Listen podcast. I have this one where I interview
Hmm.
people like you, right?
Mhm.
And I always try to interview people who are Black that can, bring that perspective to everything that we do, whether it be
Hmm.
politics, comedy, music, whatever, right? So I try not to watch other people's podcasts because I don't want to inadvertently steal like their idea, their format,
Yeah.
or something that they say. But it's
Yeah.
like easier for me because I can simply say, I heard this on such and such a show, and this
Yeah. You
Hmm.
can attribute it.
y'all
Yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You be
No.
like, well, such and such said this joke, where they'd be like, fuck, we're trying to hear your joke, your creativity.
I'm gonna tell you one that really kind of speaking of joke jacking, one of my favorite jokes ever in the history of life is Robin Harris Piccolo Player. And I
Oh,
was
that's a good one.
really, really hurt to find out that Piccolo Player was on wax in like 1975.
Wow.
And here's the thing, it's from like an old West Virginia comedian, like West Virginia backwoods, hillbilly comedian. And I cannot tell you how hurt I was to find out that
To
Piccolo
find out
Player
that
was
it
not
wasn't
an
his
original
original.
joke.
Have
I
you
was
noticed that
heartbroken.
too? Have you noticed that too with some of the comics, especially coming up from in the 80s, 90s? You
Mhm.
would hear something from them and you found out that it was on an old from
Yep.
Mom Made Bleed
Yep.
to the woman, what's her name that played as Esther. Esther
Yeah.
used to have a lot of
Yeah. Oh
raunchy
yeah.
jokes.
LaWanda Page.
Fred, I
LaWanda
was gonna say
Page. LaWanda
LaWanda
Page.
Page.
Yeah.
A lot of them used to have these jokes that were just on wax and at these comedy clubs that were recorded. So when
Mhm.
somebody else got the joke and it became theirs, they forgot that it was originally from someone else.
Yeah.
And I used to be what you call a student of comedy.
Yeah.
I bartended in the clubs, in the comedy, in the comedy rooms, and then loving comics, going to all the shows where I would just eat them up. But it also it's hard for you to find your own voice when you do that because
Yeah.
you're so engulfed in comedy all the time. So you have to learn your own voice. You don't want to get up there and you're kind of mimicking some more style, especially for women. It's not a lot of us black
Mhm.
comedians, and a lot of black men don't particularly like Black comedians, female comedians, for whatever reason. You know, they think sometimes we're too vulgar. We all talk about the same things. I'm like, the men do the same thing. The men talk about the same topics. It's just from my point of view. So I don't personally like very loud comics, women comics. You know, that stereotypical big girl get on stage. I'm loud. I don't personally like it. So I had to like make myself not be that loud big girl comic. I was the big girl, but I would be very intense and straight faced and kind of quiet.
Do
I
you
think
think
that's
do y'all let me ask you this. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
no, no, no. I was about to say I think that's an interesting dynamic and
Hmm.
something to explore. Just about you know uh female comedians and in from a traditionally male dominated space, and to
Yeah,
really explore, well, what is it about, or what are the excuses, I should say, about female comics that men say that make it difficult for women to find their place in their space creatively in that arena. I think that's
yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'm sorry, Marv. I'm over here saying, man, I'd love to talk about that at a later time. Forgive me
Yeah,
about that.
I sure
nah,
would. I
that's
would
cool.
like to delve more into that to
Mhm.
tell y'all
Well,
from the female.
listen. I'm gonna have y'all back on the show. We're gonna talk about different things,
Okay.
whatever. We Kevin Hart was just a segue. And listen, and Tommy wants you to be on time next time,
And
and
I'm gonna be on time,
we want you on time next time, and we want you to
and
go
with my
ahead.
camera working.
And we want you to help you with your kids' homework before you have to record this shit, because he definitely made a cameo. But the one thing we can say, you was a good dad. We don't know if you're funny or
I
not,
didn't
but you
know
were a
y'all
good ass
saw me
dad.
helping him over here. I didn't know y'all saw me, man.
Yeah, he
And
was up
Tony,
there
I'm
like
going,
he was waka
and
he was
me
all in the chair.
that was hilarious. Me still being the comedy fan, I'm going to follow you because I love to follow other comics. Period. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I'm. I just like to support
yeah, same here,
comics.
same here.
But and let me
Yeah.
ask you this one before we get Tony to talk about what he's got going on.
Mhm.
I remember back in the day when Def
Hmm.
Comedy Jam was on, you had BET Comic View, uh,
Hmm.
you had Comedy Central, would show some black comedians. It doesn't seem to me that there are that many outlets anymore for somebody to break in to Hollywood per se, or into like, TV. It's now seemed to have rotated to, I take advantage of my social media. Maybe I do like Country Wayne and I do the skits, or like Mojo and I do skits. And that's a segue into getting people familiar with me. So then I could get into the different comedy clubs and then I could do my material. Do you think that there are the same opportunities for Black comedians, or has the game changed totally to where you have to be more self-promoting and doing your own thing in order to get ahead?
I
Both.
believe that now everything is wide open. The fact that we all have
Yeah.
phones. It's funny now that I think about it, Kim. I remember about a year or two ago, I was working. We did a show in Chicago at Riddles. Smuggy was there, and I
Hmm.
remember, he had two DSLR cameras that captured his show. You know what I'm saying? Just the
Boogie
mere
from St.
fact.
Louis.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so that's where I think we are now, is that now you have to make that investment in yourself. Now you have to be able to know, okay, I know I have to chop my stuff up. Now I can put out my own comedy special. You spoke
Yep.
of Ryan Davis. Ryan Davis put out his own special on YouTube. From
Yep.
Houston, you got Ali Sadiq. Ali Sadiq putting out his own specials. Marcus Wiley, who's under Ali Sadiq's, label now, he's
Hmm.
putting out his own special. So I believe that with YouTube and with some of these other platforms now, it's almost like, Comic View and Def Comedy Jam, Bad Boys Comedies, all these other traditional mainstream platforms that used to exist are now not necessarily needed, because it used to be that was the only place that we could filter everything through. Now there are no filters, and people will be able to find you
I
once you
was gonna
start
say
putting
that.
things out there.
Yep.
And so now it's really more so, actually, it's the best time to be alive. The power's in our
It
hands.
is. Darius
You know.
Burford had just said that not too long ago when I ran into him. He was saying this
Mhm.
is the time. You think about Comic View and BT, and that was just for the culture. That wasn't like worldwide known. Whereas if you're on YouTube or you're putting something out on social media, anybody in Africa, South Africa, or China, anybody can see you and find you. And the difference is there are still clubs, there are still comedy
Yeah.
rooms and clubs we can still go to work out our material. It's that I'm gonna say one word, y'all. And I know Country Wayne is big, but look at Druski. Druski
Yep.
and what he's doing with his platform, his skits and things. That's all. That's one person who has evolved into doing this, showing you what can be done. It's like
Yeah.
you said, if you take the time and the money and the sit down and write the skits and have a good team,
Mhm.
so it's a lot. My mom asked me a while ago, like, Kim, why you don't just do some she said about doing comedy about why I couldn't just do it when I felt good or felt better. And I said, Mom, comedy is not like that. You have to be available. You cannot be canceling shows. You have to grow
Mhm.
it has to be like it was when I first started, where you're willing to get up and go. When Tony said, Kim, come on down here to Baton Rouge, I'm like, okay, not that I cannot come because I'm not feeling good or I'm not
Mhm.
well. So in order to grow your following and do that, so I just took it to another level, and I know where I can do social media. You see how Just Hilarious started just being on social media. Some people don't cross over well from just doing skits to doing comedy on stage. So
I've seen that too.
everybody has to find their
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's the
I've
I've
seen
seen
thing.
a
that too.
lot of people that come to St. Louis and people like they are horrible. They're good in the skits, but
Yeah.
coming on stage and getting on
Yeah.
stage telling those jokes in front of live audiences, it's no cutting and editing you
Yeah.
can do on the stage.
It's a
So getting
different
on the
skill set.
stage,
It's a different skill
yes,
set.
It
it's
So
a
is.
you
bit
may be good at writing, and you may be good, but let's
yes.
take a couple of takes, let's edit it or whatever. But being on that
Hmm.
stage, you two can say, I've never done it. It's a whole
Yep.
animal. And I think just before we wrap it up, the rap game, people also talk about like the gatekeepers. So you look
Mhm.
at
Hmm.
like Ebro in the morning. The biggest thing that they would say about Ebro is that he was a gatekeeper. So then
Mm.
they got Ebro out the way. Now, this is his way. You can feel how you want to about Ebro. I'm just using it as an example. But now the complaint is everybody's got a digital camera. Everybody can
Hmm.
put their music out, and there is no gatekeeping to filter out the nonsense, right? Because
Mhm.
it's so much that's not good. So the thing about it is that you may have to have the skill set of being able to rip the stage. You may have to have the skill set of writing your skits to pump up your social media, to edit your stuff.
Hmm.
You have to have some tech skills and some business
Mhm.
savvy to promote
Yep.
yourself. Because back in the day, all you had to do was just say, and I'm speaking from the outside, but I'm just you correct me if I'm wrong. Hey, somebody saw you, they thought you was hot. Come on to this show right here. Somebody's going to be there. Next thing you know, you're on Comic View. Now your
Yep.
ability to gain more money because hey, I've been on TV, I've been on BET Comic View. You can pay me some more
Hmm.
money. Now you got to promote yourself, and instead of having a machine pushing you, now you have to be the machine.
Yep. You have
Well,
to
and
be. I,
and then also too, one of the things that you have to remember is that when it came for comedy, everybody went to Comic View for comedy, or everybody
yep.
went to Def Comedy Jam for comedy.
Hmm.
Now everyone goes everywhere for comedy,
Yep.
or for music, or for a visual art, or
You can
for
find it
learning.
everywhere.
It is
Yeah.
everywhere. It's no longer filtered in. So really
Hmm.
gatekeeping is really difficult to do. I mean, at that level. Of course, now tech is the gatekeeper, but from a one person or a one medium standpoint, gatekeeping is really kind of difficult to do because everyone everywhere is so into their own thing, and the algorithm is so tailored to you that if you find people like really in my honest opinion, this is me. Man, you give me a hot 30,000. I don't need a million. Give me a hot 30,000 people all over the country
That's
who fool with me.
that's all you need.
That's all you need. And
That's
you
all.
know what?
Hmm.
I'm going to service them all day. I'm
Yep.
talking whatever you want. I want my tribe. That's my 30. I want my
Hmm.
1,000 in St. Louis, my 1,000 in KCK, my
Hmm.
1,000 in KC Mo. I'm gonna do two shows there. I want Des Moines, I want Chicago, I want Gary, I want just give me 1,000 every single one of those places. and you go through and you
Mm-hmm.
do your own show and you service your people. You sell them that merch. You do all of that. Shake hands, kiss babies, hug them, take pictures, do all of that. And I'm gonna
Yeah.
come see you again in about 6 months. And I'm
And
gonna come
Mm-hmm.
get your money again. And
it,
that's what I think the game is now. And I think so many people, yeah, of course. And I'm not talking about lowering your expectations. What I'm talking about is developing your crew,
Yep.
developing what's for you. So many people look at what someone else has and it's like, I
It,
want that. Nah, I want mine.
no,
yeah.
I want
I
what's
want
for me.
mine. I want
So
mine.
what it comes down to is everybody can put their stuff out too, right? But how do you monetize it?
Mm-hmm.
How do you monetize it? So you got to say, okay, how am I going to capitalize on the social media, right? Because Druski's putting out these
Mm-hmm.
elaborate, like
Mhm.
really like mini movies, like skits,
Yeah, they're short films. They're
like
short films.
stuff
He's
like
gotten to that level where he's
yeah.
able to
So like
too.
stuff like Chappelle and Chris Rock used to do, like those little short skits they were doing the variety shows, or like,
Mm-hmm.
Living Color with the Wayans family. He's doing that on his own, but how is he monetizing it? Because I ain't really seen Drewski do a whole lot of like stand up. I've
I
seen
didn't
him
know
make
he does. Does
appearances.
he do stand
I
up
don't think
traditional?
so.
He does not do.
Yeah.
He does not do stand. He's one of the few who does not do stand up. Unlike Country Wayne, who started with skits and then did stand up. Like just hilarious started with her. Just with a mess. Drewski is not doing stand up. Drewski doesn't even have to do stand up. I'm sure if he wanted to and he'd try it, he'd be probably very good at it. But I'm like, if it's not broke, why? If it's not broke, why don't fix it?
But
If he's
Yeah, but
good
he's
at these
figured out a
skits,
way. I'm sorry to
yeah,
talk over you, Ken, but he's figured out a
no,
way. My
no.
point being was he's figured out a way to monetize those clicks
Well,
from YouTube, social media, and you got to know how to play that game.
here's the
yeah,
thing. So the new record label are the tech companies.
That's it.
This the same with film studios are the tech
hmm
companies. Drewski is not doing the same thing that your average person down the street is doing in terms of trying to
nope,
monetize it. His deal is directly with Meta. His deal is directly with these
exactly,
platforms. So when you see the elaborate sketches and things like that, that's a deal straight to the top with them. That's not the
exactly.
traditional, oh, he's getting 45 million views first day
No,
and he's making this amount of no. His deal is directly because here's the thing. His latest sketch came out a month ago and we still talking about it. And
yep,
before that, we were talking about the Erica Kirk. And before that, we were
yep,
talking. So the thing is that that's why they pay. That's why he has those deals directly with them because
hmm
of the impact that it makes to the culture. And so not just black,
exactly.
but all the way around across the board. And so
Everybody,
But you know what?
everybody.
everybody.
You know what I find surprising about that? I don't doubt it because it makes sense.
Mhm.
But what I find surprising is bringing full circle back to Kevin Hart. Drewski
Mm.
Drewski doing whiteface.
Oh yeah,
Drewski going after Erica,
Drewski pushing the
going after
envelope, and
Erica Kirk.
he don't have
A lot of
he
times
don't
you
have the
can't do
same.
that when you were bought, and I hate to say buy and pay for, but when you getting your money from those tech bros, you know who those tech bros who lined up with? They lined up with Trump.
Yep.
Because it goes much bigger than comedy. And
Yep.
sometimes, hey, listen, shut that down or whatever. So I'm not disagreeing with you. I just find it kind of surprising. And I need to dig deeper into that. It makes sense what you're saying. But I also like, well, damn, how's he able to talk with such creative license without having to be like,
And
hey,
it almost make you think for real what they're saying that Kevin Hart is a plant because Kevin Hart can't do that. He has all these brand deals. It's people he has to, kiss
Peace.
whatever
Yeah.
their butt because he
Yeah.
can't do that. Drewski can. So
Yeah.
it's two different machines that are behind them where Drewski's able to do this. Kevin Hart cannot. He will lose brand deals.
Well,
Drewski has
here's the thing that we have to remember about politics and tech and money and big business all operating together. It's wrestling.
hmm
Not even wrestling, it's wrestling. We're the ones arguing
wrestling.
at yeah, we're the ones arguing at the bottom. They're the ones laughing all the way to the bank. Eric, if we're talking about it in terms of chess, Erica Kirk is a pawn and Drewski was doing the work in the service of somebody else who's going to truly benefit from it, the tech companies. They're the ones laughing all the
hmm
way to the bank. And when you think about who all is involved with it, those politicians and people like that, they're the ones with stock in it.
That
Why
makes so
why
much sense.
why
Because
why are there
yes,
people who politicians, and I know this for fact, why are there politicians who made money and made trades on Oracle days before Oracle purchased and was allowed to purchase TikTok America?
hmm
I'm talking personal on that one.
But
I know one of the politicians.
look, Trump been signaling to his people all the time, like, hey, look, I'm about to go into Iran, so they say
Yeah,
that's right here. They've been doing
yeah.
it goes so deep, man. But
it's
listen,
wrestling, bro.
yeah,
It's wrestling. Yeah, that's another one. That's
yeah,
another episode. My
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
My
We
bad.
got
My
it. We
bad.
got it. But Tony, tell people what you got going on, man. Where they can find you.
Man, so right now, man, I'm in the lab. I'm doing some writing on some different films. Really kind of working. I just submitted 27 episodes to Mansa, which is the company that is owned by Nate Parker and David Oluelo, for a series of vertical shorts. In addition to that, working on some other film stuff, and on top of that, I'm bringing back my television show, which airs here in Baton Rouge. It's a comedic late night variety hour where we talk about all different types of things like this. And and then on
Will it
top
be
of that, just
available
continue.
on YouTube?
Yes, of course.
Okay,
Yeah, I
good.
got you. And so yeah, I'm not limiting myself. We just first run on air here and then we just put it on YouTube, the next day. And so also too, started the podcast with one of my former co-hosts from the radio, Tony and Sash, which we air on Mondays. You can follow us on that with Tony and Sash live on all platforms. And you can
How you
also
spell
follow
Sash?
me as
How you spell
well.
Sash? How you spell that?
Sash. So
Okay,
Tony and Sash live.
not Tony and
Uh,
Sash. Tony and
no,
Sash.
well, it's spelled Sash, but it's pronounced Sash. But yeah, and then also too, man, y'all can follow me. Tony King is funny on everything. I'm Tony King is funny on Facebook. Tony King is funny on Instagram. Tony King is funny on YouTube. I even got a ChristianSinglesMeet.com, and I'm Tony King is funny on that. So y'all follow me on everything.
Okay.
ChristianSinglesMeet.com. I'm weak.
All right, Kim, where can they find you?
And the real Kim D on IG, Kim D comedy on TikTok, and comedian Kim D on Facebook. But it's the number two. I mean the Roman numeral two because they took my first page.
Why they take your first page? What was you doing? What you doing?
No, I was hacked.
Oh,
and make sure, hey, look, and make sure you tell them it's Kim with a Y.
It's Kim with a Y, yep. And it's really just Kim D, the comedian Kim D. I don't know why everybody started calling me that. But anyway, I don't know, because before then, I guess I was divorced into Kim D. I was I don't know.
That's all
So
good. That's all good. Well, look, man, I really appreciate y'all being on the show.
yes.
I think, we started off with a topic that has been on everybody's mind, but it's good for people to get into the behind the scenes about what people do with comedy. And I definitely would like to have y'all back on the show, man, so we can talk about different things. It don't have to be heavy, we can, keep it light or whatever. But I'm sure our
this
listeners
was
really
not
love.
really heavy to me. This was fun. And this was
Yeah,
light.
same
But
here.
we
Yeah.
talked about the Kevin Hart or whatever, but that's why I
Yeah,
kind of
that was
rotated. I rotated away from it, because I wanted people
yeah.
to get to know you all, and I wanted
Yeah.
people to promote your brand because we are all about enlightening, uplifting, educating Black people. This is a Black show, right?
Yeah.
And so anything that I can do to help promote you and your brand, this may open up, y'all may have made a connection. You know what I'm saying? You say you out here
Oh,
riding.
I'm hitting Kim
This
up. What you
man,
talking about?
said he got TV shows. He may need a rider from St. Louis to go to different
Right. And that's what I
Hey,
do.
See
I
what I'm
write,
saying?
I
Yeah.
create, I love I
Listen, I got
love
a
it.
screenplay.
I was about to say, and I'm
I got
hitting
a
you up.
screenplay that I've
Yeah.
written, and I'm just gonna say it's like The Wood
Mhm.
meets Higher Learning. It's a dope little
Mhm.
thing.
Okay.
It's like The
Okay.
Wood meets Higher Learning. So I just put out a documentary. Right now, I got a men's conference that I'm putting on right now in my hometown, Topeka, Kansas, where we really stepping up for Black men. I got my hometown's a typical Midwest city that was plagued by crack in the 80s. Gang violence
hmm
came in, and there isn't a lot of hope. So we really want to try to get the brothers together so that we can be there for our community. There's already brothers there who are doing good work, but we are much stronger when we are together. And that's the goal of this conference. So June 27th, I don't like dating the shows, but June 27th, we'll be in Topeka, Kansas, and we'll be doing that. And we're going to have Kim and Tony back on the show. I've been trying to wrap it up forever, but I'm having fun with y'all. But we're going to go ahead and end it. This is Conversate
Okay.
with us. And for you bougie Negroes, remember, conversate stands for communicate, converse, and relate. Go to our YouTube, click the bell icon so you can notify the upcoming episodes we have next time. Peace.